Hello, this is BlueStar, Defender of Equestria, and this is another one of my videos which I'm gonna dub my Dream Song videos, because as I described in BlueStar 1 and 2, I compose this in an interesting way, that I kind of go half to sleep and I just let the story happen and stuff like that. This one, unfortunately, is not BlueStar 3 or anything like that. It's sort of what happened to BlueStar kind of after A Canterlot Wedding and stuff like that. And it's really about him resting and, in a way, dealing with everything that happened. And just must have been something that I deal with a lot, of just needing a moment and stuff like that to just rest and relax. And I must admit, in slightly unusual ways. But anyway, I must admit, I make these to help myself relax and stuff, and I hope that maybe it'll help you to relax, or maybe you'll enjoy getting a little bit more into what makes BlueStar tick and everything like that. So, this is BlueStar. I hope you enjoy.
BlueStar walked onto the soft sandy beach that ran along the lakeside. It had been a long time since he had come here. A very, very long time. But after everything that had happened in the past few days, he felt that he had to. He was tired, hurt, and just needed to rest. He had fought as hard as he could during the events of the Canterlot Wedding, but it wasn't enough, and it had hurt him a great deal to see everything that he loved and cared for simply fall apart. That there was nothing he could do to defend Equestria or protect his friends. It had hurt him greatly. And he knew that it wasn't his fault. He had done everything that he could. The entire Royal Guard had fought as hard and as long as they could, but it had simply not been enough. Even Celestia couldn't protect them. But in the end, everything worked out. Everything was okay. The love of Prince Shining Armor and Princess Cadence was able to save not only Canterlot, but the whole of Equestria. That made him happy. But he still couldn't feel hurt and tired and exhausted and everything after what had happened. His leg had been hurt. He had been trapped underneath rubble after trying to disable Chrysalis with his sniper caster. And all he could do was lay there, hurt and defeated. And as the changelings came to take him away, he wanted to attack them with the last of his magic, but he was too weak to be able to even do that. So he laid down and just cried. Cried that there was nothing more he could do. Then that brilliant purple shield appeared and made all the changelings just simply go away. And everything was all right again. Now, several days later, his leg still hurt, but not too badly hurt. He came here to rest, to find that quiet peace, and to just let everything go. He knew that it was more than just his leg that was hurt. He felt as though he had failed. He had sworn his life to defend Equestria and the main six, and he was unable to. But he knew it was not his fault. He had done all he could, but he still couldn't feel hurt. So, after the long journey here, he just paused for a moment, closed his eyes, and remembered what this place meant to him. This was the lake that the river led to, the same river where his father had passed away and where he himself had almost lost his life. It was a place of great pain, but also reflection. His father's presence was always strong here, and he still had a strange connection to the water, a connection that sometimes eased him. So he just breathed in slowly, closed his eyes, and just remembered the times he had come here when he needed peace and quiet. And bit by bit was able to start to relax and just let go of the things that were hurting him. And opening his eyes again, he walked forward a little bit closer to the water's edge, still wearing his golden armor. He was still a member of the Royal Guard. Despite everything that had happened, he didn't want that to change. But everything that had happened still hurt him, and sometimes it hurt to wear this armor. Sometimes he just wanted to let it go. And in this case, that's what he did. Using his magic, he loosened the strap that held his armor in place and slowly lifted his helmet off, put it beside him, followed by the armor, and laid it gently beside him. He honestly felt good to have that weight off of his shoulders and just begin to relax. Let his aching back slowly heal and relax, free from the burden, the responsibility, and sometimes even the pain that came from wearing that armor. And as he looked at it now, at first he felt pain, remembering everything that had happened. But slowly he looked at it and was proud. This was his armor, and he had earned it, and he would never give it up. But it was nice, just for a time, to put it aside and just lay down in the sand, quiet and still. Just allow his mind, his body, and even his soul to just rest. And that's what he did. He just laid down in the sand, closed his eyes, just went to sleep beside his armor. In dream, he was free from all the things that were hurting him. And so for a little while he slept. Just rest. Just listen to the water lapping the side of the beach. Slowly, gently, almost as though it was reaching out to him and calming his soul. And the nightmares did not come. He was afraid they would, but here they did not. Here, the cool air seemed to wrap around him. Gentle lapping of the water seemed to calm and reassure him. Those things could not hurt him here. That in these few moments, he could rest. That there would be peace and stillness and quiet. No pain, no fear, no responsibilities, just quiet. And BlueStar fell asleep, and for a time there were no dreams. Just peace, just rest, just quiet. But in time dream did come, and it surprised him. He imagined Celestia coming beside him, tired and hurt, and looking up at her in her brilliant form, that beautiful smile that always arose such confidence and reassurance in him. She looked down at him and bent down, stretched a wing over him, and just gently rubbed his back and his side with the tips of her wings, and just said, "Rest, BlueStar. You've served me well. Just rest now. Everything will be all right." He looked up into her eyes and saw her smile, and said, "Thank you, Princess Celestia. I've always wanted to serve you and do what I can for you. I'm glad that you're all right. I'm glad you're all right too, BlueStar. Go to sleep now. Go to sleep. May your heart know rest and peace now. Thank you, BlueStar. And I want you to know, this is no dream. I heard you call to me. I'm glad that I can help you this way. You're not weak, BlueStar. You're not weak. You never have been. You've just needed someone to be there for you, and to remind you that you've always had the strength inside. So rest now. You've earned it. I'm proud of everything you and all the Royal Guard have done for me. Thank you, Princess Celestia. Having you say that to me means the world to me. Thank you. It is my honor and privilege to serve. And it is my honor to have such great individuals and great ponies serve me too. Now sleep, BlueStar. Just sleep. You'll be all right. And so he did. He laid his head down, and even in dream closed his eyes, just relaxed. He was just grateful that Celestia could be there for him in this way. He felt safe and secure, that he could just relax, that no one could hurt him here. So he slept and dreamed and just rested in this way. Until at some moment he started to wake. And he awoke once again at the lakeside. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he could tell it was a fair amount of time. But he definitely needed that time to rest. He looked out into the water, and he knew what he wanted to do now. He still wanted to rest, but in a different way. The water was calling to him, as it had sometimes, especially when he was here. His leg was still hurt, though, so using his magic, he brought forth something. It was a life jacket that he wrapped around himself and secured around his body. Took a deep breath and walked towards the water's surface. With a slight limp from his injured leg, he must admit that sometimes entering that lake frightened him, but it also strangely reassured him. He had once fought for his life in this lake, and he had almost lost that fight. Sometimes he was afraid, but he would not let that fear control him. So when his front hooves touched the water, he wasn't surprised by its coolness or the way that it just seemed to wrap around him as each step brought him deeper into the water. He would always remember how it felt to float in this water. It just seemed different to him somehow. And with each step, more of his body became immersed in the cool water and strangely relaxing him. Its coolness and in a way gentle touch, just calming and soothing every one of his aching muscles. To his surprise, his hooves no longer touched the bottom as the life jacket carried him, and he floated. This was such a strange sensation to him, to have all his weight be supported and carried in such an unusual way. And then he began to swim. Just swim from shore just a little, and simply got enjoyment from being able to swim this way. He had once fought and swam for his life here. Now, swimming in this way, knowing he was safe and secure, seemed to almost mend those painful memories, just put his mind at ease. He no longer had to struggle or fight. He could just lay still, and he would float, and be able to be calm and relaxed and quiet. With a few more strokes, he turned and looked back at the beach and at the armor that still lay there, and he was surprisingly calm and happy, and just smiled as he just simply floated in the water. He looked up at the sky and allowed himself to just simply roll onto his back and just float. And he looked at the sky and the clouds and everything above. Just listened to the water lapping at him. He was not afraid or hurt anymore. was calm, relaxed, and ease that all his burdens and all his weight and everything that had held him down just felt like it was floating away. That he could just be calm. He didn't have to fight or struggle anymore. He could just relax his muscles, close his eyes. He would just float. And as he laid his head back, he let it be carried by the water, and he felt his eyes closing, just simply relaxed. Let all his muscles go limp and relaxed. He just allowed the water to carry him where it would. He didn't fight or struggle or even worry about where he would go or where he would end up. He would just let it all go and let the water carry him. And in this moment he found peace and quiet and rest. As the water wrapped around him, it almost felt like it was a warm, reassuring blanket that just seemed to ease all his pain, his fear, and his burdens that before he felt like he could only drown in. But now that he was here, calm, relaxed, just letting go, all of that seemed to go away. He felt like it was just floating away, as he was, just floating, calm and safe. No reason to struggle or fight. So once more, he fell into dream, to quiet rest. This time there were no dreams, just rest. Just the quiet lapping of the water along his body, and the cool reassurance, and the soothing touch that it brought to every inch of his body. And so he just rested, and just let the water carry him, and he could feel himself just bobbing up and down, almost as though it was rocking him gently, as he could almost remember his mother doing when he was just a child. And gentle, quiet noise, just gently touching him, calmed and reassured him. He just slept and rested, and slowly, very slowly, his heart, his soul, his body all felt healed and renewed. He felt that all that hurt and burden had just floated away into the water and was simply no longer weighing him down. And as he woke, he felt himself reaching for the latch of his life jacket. And at first he was afraid, but then he pulled it, and it no longer supported him. And at first he was afraid that he would sink, that he would drown. But he did not. He was strong again, as he always was. And now he found that he could still float, even without the life jacket supporting him. And he let it just float away. He no longer needed it. He could just relax and let himself float. He would not drown. And he found that he could rest this way too. And for a little while he did. He just rested on his back and floated. And sometimes his head would dip below the surface of the water. And at first he struggled and fought against it, but soon realized he did not have to, that he could just slowly take in a breath, allow himself to sink below this water's surface, just for a moment, and that he would reappear above it a moment later. And this strangely relaxed him and reassured him that he no longer had to fight, that he could just let go and let the water carry him even beneath its surface, and that he would be safe. And as he watched his life jacket float away and realized how far from shore he was, For a moment he was afraid that he might drown, but then remembered everything he just learned. Almost as a reminder, allowed himself to sink below its surface, just for a few seconds. Just allowed the water to totally wrap itself around him. And there was a strange feeling here. A part of him wanted to just let go, to allow himself to drown. He did not want to. He had too many things worth living for, and too many ponies and things worth fighting for. So with a gentle stroke of his legs, he brought himself back to the surface and breathed in slowly, deeply, no longer afraid, more concerned. And he turned toward shore and began to swim, knowing that he was strong again. And he told himself that I will not give up. I will always keep on fighting. I will always have the strength inside. I am not afraid to fail anymore. Because regardless of what happens, I know there will always be people who love me, who will fight for me, and I will always fight for them. I will never give up. I will never give up on myself, or them, or the things that matter to me the most. And this is my strength, my heart, and the reason why I will never give up. Bit by bit, he swam back to shore, bringing it slowly closer to him with every stroke. And soon he realized that he would be all right, that he did not need to be afraid, that he was not going to drown. Sometimes he did need to rest. He needed to just close his eyes, take a deep breath, allow himself to slip under the water just for a few seconds, to give his body a chance to rest and recover. And sometimes in those moments he still felt like he wanted to give up. But he kept reminding himself of how much he loved his friends and his family and everything that he wanted to fight for. And those things always brought him back up to the surface again, and always helped him to find the strength to keep on going, even when he just wanted to give up. And each time this happened, he felt stronger in some way, that he would always be able to keep on swimming when all he wanted to do was drown. And soon his hooves touched shore once more, and this made him happy, but yet sad, since the swim was now over. He must admit that a part of him longed to stay in the water, to be free from his burdens, his responsibilities, and the weight they placed on his body and his spirit. But he knew he could not do that. He knew he didn't want to do that. Despite everything, he didn't want to give up his responsibilities or who he was. And it was a great honor to serve the way that he now served. And so he walked out of the water and went back beside his armor, and once more laid down beside it, his body gently dripping with water. And he laid his head down and closed his eyes and once more just rested, quietly and peacefully. The swim back was strangely relaxing, but tiring at the same time. He needed to rest just a little bit more before he could continue his journey. And so he did. Once more, he saw Celestia. She was very worried for him. She had somehow seen what had just happened and was concerned for his safety. She simply said that she was glad that he was all right, and urged him to be a little bit more careful in the future, because she would hate to lose him. And BlueStar thanked her and then went quietly back to sleep. And once more, for just a brief moment, she laid a wing over him, and in that moment he was able to rest and recover. and just know that he was safe and no longer had to fight or struggle. And for a few minutes he just laid there and rested, listening once more to the gentle lapping of the waves on the beach as they soothed and calmed him. Once more, a part of him wanted to remain here. A part of him just wanted to remain in quiet dream. But he knew that he could not. And again, that's not what he wanted. He did not simply want to throw away his responsibilities. It was an honor to serve, and he would continue to serve as best as he could. And that seemed to awaken him from dream, a little more suddenly than he expected. But as he opened his eyes sleepily, he was not afraid or hurt or concerned anymore. He knew what he wanted. He knew what he had to do. And he felt quiet and calm and rested. He was ready to continue his journey. And so, with his magic once more, he picked up his armor and placed it on top of him and secured the strap around himself, then placed his helmet on his head and turned towards where Canterlot lay in the distance and said to himself, "I'm ready now. I'm ready to continue my destiny." And rested and renewed, BlueStar took that first step back to Canterlot and one more step towards fulfilling his destiny.